Hey guys, what's up? It's Deprimido. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here on Zoom and I'm with my friend Crimson. We're going to be doing a quick little consultation. And yeah, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure thing, man. Like you said, I'm Crimson. I've been producing for a little bit. Started on GarageBand on iOS, and now I'm last couple months since around September been using FL on the PC. So, like you said, we're here for the consultation. He's just gonna help me out, show me some pointers. Been a big fan,
Yeah, for
so
sure.
yeah, let's get
Yeah,
to it.
cool. So yeah, what sort of questions do you have?
Okay, so just to start, I guess at what point do you know when you're mixing kind of where the sounds need to be, right? So I watched your last few videos on your mixing tutorials and all that.
Right.
So you kind of gave some ideas there. But like, is there, hang on, let me pull up a VST on my, I have FL pulled up. Right? Where we left off, right, is I was saying a lot of producers I've seen different tutorials and all, and they have they try to have headroom in their beats. I believe that's what it's called, where
Yeah.
they try to create space. And let me just pause this real quick. They create space, I guess, by turning down certain knobs and trying to level their beat, which is part of the mixing stage.
Yeah.
But other people like Internet Money, like your tutorials as well, you don't do that. So what would you suggest doing first? Like I put all these in the mixer right here, so I have the audio and then the hi-hats and claps and 808s here.
Yeah. So if it was me, what I would just start with is just probably put the 808 in mono first off.
Okay.
Um, that's the
Oh,
pan if you go a little bit lower.
sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. Yeah, so I'd start with that and then I would do effects. So like what I would do is solo each individual instrument and listen and see if it needs any effects.
All
Um,
right.
but yeah, in terms of like gain staging and stuff, just for mixing beats, it's not too important really. Especially if you're just selling them on Beatstars or whatever. Like it's not going to make too big of a difference. Like if you were making beats for placements or whatever, the engineer's going to redo it anyway. If you're selling them on BeatStars, you don't need a super great mix. So really, you just got to do effects and level it, and you're mostly good. Gain staging isn't all that important for the most part, you know.
Right. Okay. So I guess we're just doing right here. And see how so for the most part, I feel like right here, this is already good. We got maybe a little bit of reverb, but yeah, that should be good. Just something subtle.
Yeah,
So now we can get to the hi-hats and these a little bit. And
yeah.
how high compared to the beat would you keep your drums at for most of your beats?
Well, for me, usually the drums are a little bit louder than the melody, but it kind of just comes with time, just doing it over and over again. You kind of get to understand where everything sits because it's not really based off the numbers, it's just based off,
Right,
how it sounds. Um,
right.
but the way that I would start is put your 808 around negative 6 dB, and then just kind of mix your drums and then add in the melodies after.
Okay. So let's start there. That about right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Okay. So we got that going. Add a little bit. And you're actually the first producer I've seen who uses this more than Fruity EQ2, which I definitely appreciate.
Yeah, I mean,
Saves an
for the
extra
most
spot.
part, like on melodies and stuff, I definitely use Fruity EQ too, but just for adding a little bit of high end to the drums and stuff, it's just as good to use that built-in one right there.
Right. Okay. So so far, did you change anything here? Or did you turn like these levels down at all, or the 808s
Yeah,
up any?
I would turn the clap down a little bit, and then see about the hi-hat after.
Okay.
Yeah, about like that, and then bring the hi-hat down maybe a little bit as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
sounded pretty good.
Now just
probably, the way that I kind of bring in the melody is, you've got all your drums mixed, so you leave them going, but then you kind of just listen to the melody in the 808, and you just bring it to where, just bring the melody down until you can hear the 808, like where it's clean and punchy,
Right.
but not too low, and that's usually where I put my melody.
Okay, yeah, that's a very good tip for that. Okay. Because like a lot of things, like I've said, I've seen a lot of tutorials and stuff, and you know what, they don't really mention, they kind of do it from the standpoint of already knowing what to do, so they kind of speed through a lot of the tips and everything, or the minute things that you kind of have to pay attention to here.
Right.
All right, so let me put a little bit of, I like to put this pancake too, and I'll just pan it very slightly on the tracks just to give it a little motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I'm liking this. So all right, I'll just pause that. So as for arrangement, when you arrange a beat, what's the kind of thing here? You can kind of see like how I have like I've watched a couple of different videos on how to do this just to make it a little less repetitive.
Right.
But after making like your first like 50 beats, using this format, you kind of want to switch it up a little bit. So like usually I have, these can all be like different melodies, but I would start like with an intro melody here. If I want to make different melodies, I'd have like one melody here, and then like one for the hook, which would be all of this right here.
Yeah.
And then like maybe a slight variation for the verse, and then like the bridge would be the same as like the intro. But how do you do these?
Well, I do have a video coming out on the arrangement next week, but pretty much, if you want, I can share my screen and just run through a couple of my arrangements and show you sort of what I did
Yeah,
for
sure.
that.
Go ahead.
So pretty much, let's see if I open up an old project. Here's a beat that I did yesterday. And so pretty much it's fairly simple. It kind of helps the more melodies that you have and stuff. But let's see if I just open up another arrangement. I only have a few different, I have 4 melodies in here, and then some drums. So if I bring all of this in, like this, pretty much just make everything the same length to start. And then I would just sort of duplicate all of this over 5 times. And that's going to give you your intro and then the hook and the verse. So what I would start with is take all the drums out and maybe have part of the melody. Let me turn off stretch. Have part of the melody like this. Can you hear that all right?
Yeah, you're coming through good.
All right, cool. So I'd have maybe like just the main melody for the first few bars, and then add in 1 or 2 of the counter melodies like this for the second 4 bars. And then you've got the tag, and that's gonna help it drop harder. But then usually I like to come in with most, if not all, of the melodies, and then like the 808 clap and the hi-hat for the main drums. And then maybe the kick. And another tip that you can do is, I don't have a kick in this beat, but if I did, you could just take, like, for example, just say this, I'll just put the 808 in again as a kick or whatever, pretty much. So you can take that and then just put the first note, and then it's going to hit really hard at first, but then take the rest of them out so that you've got something to transition to for the second half of the hook. And then you can add in, the rest of the melody or perks or whatever. And then for the verse, you just really want to have it drop off. So I would maybe do the main melody and the clap and the hi-hat, maybe the 808, but not always. It kind of just depends, and you can listen. And then just double that over, pretty much change up the verse a little bit, but I usually leave the hook the same, and then maybe add a breakdown or something. But for the most part, I like to keep it pretty simple in the arrangement. But yeah, so.
Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah, that's definitely some tips I'm gonna have to use.
Yeah. And like there's other things you can do. You can have sections where you put halftime on for the verse, or like for the first half of the hook, you have the melody regular, and then the second half you pitch it up an octave, or stuff like that, just kind of to separate it. Um, but really, like having it be repetitive isn't too big of a deal for the most part. I think we notice it more as producers than the artist or somebody listening would. Um, so I think it's not too big a deal, but it definitely is a good thing to get down the basics. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah, because something I definitely noticed, the two beats that kind of sparked this kind of epiphany to me was Suge, the baby song.
hmm
And I think it was Armed and Dangerous, the Juice World song. Both of those, hearing the instrumental, just kind of showed how repetitive the beat could be. But after the vocals are on top of it, you really don't notice it as much.
yeah,
But breaking it down to just the instrumental, you do kind of want to spice it up just a little bit, like you were saying, like add some breakdowns or like changes in the verses, just so it's not like completely the same thing you're hearing from
yeah,
the first 8 bars to the last 8 bars.
hmm yeah.
Okay.
I think taking out the 808 is a really good way to separate it. Um, Adding effects like halftime, or if you were doing like a little section to build up to the hook again, maybe you could put an EQ that's like really tight and slowly automate that to come off. Um, but yeah, it can be pretty repetitive for the most part.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Just for the most part, mainly really just kind of any tips you can drop to make your beats more sellable too. Because when I first started, like I said, I got FL around September. Uh, and with it being almost May now, I've gotten a decent amount of plugins. And what I first thought, as I said, I was coming from GarageBand on iOS originally, so plugins were really limited on that device. So I thought,
Mhm.
that's what I needed to become a better producer, to make better beats, have better sounds and presets.
Right.
But kind of getting caught up in that, it's easy to miss out on the simple things like EQs or simple leveling and mixing and stuff to make your beats sound more professional without actually having to spend like $100-$200 on VSTs.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not super important to have a whole lot of VSTs. There I use expand and octave and purity and Spitfire Labs a lot. Those are kind of like my four main ones.
Mm,
Um, and that's most of what I use is those. I kind of use Flex a lot too, actually. Um, but yeah, having a whole lot of plugins isn't super important for the most part.
right. Yeah. If I share my screen here again, mainly just to show what I have, like, so I've kind of categorized this all by like genres and stuff, but
Yeah.
the most expensive ones that I've gotten, which kind of in the my experience now, kind of looking back, that I didn't even need to begin with, would be probably Philharmonic and things like that. Which afterwards I found free art alternatives, such as, where's my orchestral, like you said, Labs, the Symphony Orchestra,
Yeah.
and this VSCO2 orchestra. So many more free options that you could use as alternatives here. And even for under here, I have like my trap ones that I use more often. A
hmm
lot of these, with the exception of like Electra X, are 50 and under.
Yeah.
So I definitely learned to appreciate those more, because when I first started, I would, just kind of try and go down my list and get as many plugins as I could find out about or saw presets for that I liked. But
Right.
really exploring things like Expand, and I've seen some other ones, like I mentioned Iota on one of your videos in the comments
hmm
before. Like those ones, I've learned to appreciate a lot more, and learned more with all the dials and everything does. Like for Expand here, learning the ADSR and everything that I didn't know before, it
Yeah.
definitely helped.
Yeah, definitely. I think, starting off without too many plugins is actually really good because you learn more about how to make the sounds that you want instead of just like sifting through a bunch of stuff to find what you want. I think you can just learn to make what you want, and generally, I think that's a pretty good thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So as for I guess the last segment of this could be, when you make melodies, what exactly do you have in mind when you make them? I know you make a lot of guitar bass or like ambient bass, like you said, purity and all that.
Yeah.
What's kind of your mindset when you make them? Because for me, I just kind of uh it's really just whenever I have a spark to make them. Do you do that, or do you like sit down in front of your computer and like, okay, I'm going to make this melody and just kind of keep making drafts until you get into your flow state, or what exactly?
Yeah, it's kind of both. I put out a beat every day, so I kind of just sometimes have to force myself to do it, but then I also have like a bunch of stuff that I want to do. So, and I usually do like a Juice World or a Lil Peep type beat just so that it's kind of a constant of what I'm putting out so people know what to expect. Um, but I make a lot of other stuff than that, and so I'll have like the beat that I have to put out every day, I'll make that, and so I'll kind of just be like, okay, I know this is what it's kind of gonna be. And so, but then when it comes to just experimenting and doing other stuff, I definitely just sometimes I'll have something in my head, and I'll try to write that out, but that doesn't usually work super good for me. So I kind of just click stuff in, and until I find something that sounds decent, and then stick with that. But yeah, I think it's really just it it depends on what type of beat I'm doing. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So I feel like there was something else. Yeah, so what's some advice you can have, at least as far as unfinished projects? Because I feel like as producers, you tend to have a lot of that. You make a draft that sounds good, and then maybe you just never finish it just because you forget about it, or you try to make yourself forget about it because you weren't feeling the sound or something like that.
Yeah. Um, I don't really know too well. For me, I started off on the trial version of FL. I just bought the full version like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I was always kind of forced to finish stuff. Um, so that was never really an issue. But I would say if it's something that you really don't like, there's no point really to finish it. Um, but if it's something that you do like, I think it's a good idea, even if you're not necessarily feeling it at that moment. If it's something decent, I think it's a good idea to just make yourself finish it. Because like you can make 100 melodies and have them sit on your computer, um, and not do anything with them, and like you're gonna get better at making them, but it's never really gonna get you anywhere in terms of like getting placements or selling beats or anything like that. So I think if you've got 100 good melodies just sitting on your computer, then it's not going to be super hard to finish the beat and then put it out and hopefully sell it or whatever. So I think it's a good idea to force yourself to finish stuff a lot of the time. Um, but it depends on the situation, I guess.
Right. Okay. And now I guess since we're kind of talking about placements and selling and stuff like that, where what are some tips, or maybe how exactly would you suggest like somebody new, like for instance, like I plan to sell beats, but I don't actually do it yet. I don't have anything posted, anything on Beatstars, YouTube, Instagram, anything like that, but I have the channels ready and prepared for it.
Mhm.
So once I make the beat, what do you feel like are the next steps I need to do to get those started or something? Or should I post them where everybody could just have access to them and buy them, or should I try to reach out and locate rappers who could potentially get placements? Or what do you think is the ideal thing?
I would say both. You know, the way that I do it is I have all of my beats on BeatStars, and then I'll hit up rappers on Instagram. And once they're ready to buy a beat, I'll just send them the link to the beat that they want for BeatStars, and they get it through there. But then also you get a few organic sales just from people finding it on BeatStars or YouTube or whatever, and just buying it, and you don't even know them. So it's kind of both, but I get most of my sales through talking to people on Instagram and sending them the link. Um, but I think it's really important, even if you don't think your beats are good, just to put them out, because like you're never. I think we're a lot harder on ourselves than other people are, and so you're not really gonna know that your beats are ready to put out until they're like really good. So you could be putting them out, but you don't feel like you should be. But like for me, the first beat I ever made, I sent it to like three labels because I was just so excited, and I didn't get any responses or anything. But I think it's just really important to start putting stuff out because you're not gonna know that your beats are ready to go when they are.
Right.
Um, and like even if you don't get sales from them, like it doesn't really matter because hopefully you're at least kind of building a fan base, and stuff like that.
All right. Yeah, I could definitely understand that. I have a cousin who also makes beats. It's sort of a mixed genre of like electro and trap, but he he's only made his channel maybe a few months ago, and he's already up to like 1,000 followers on Instagram. So you can definitely garner a following, and he's made a few sales as well. So yeah, I definitely agree. But I'm kind of on the opposite end because he as soon as he puts a beat out that same day, he's posting it. Me, on the other hand, if you have somebody else listen to it, they can hear an 8 bar loop of your melody of your drums, and they get hyped over it. But me, kind of mentally, I'm thinking, it's not ready yet. It needs to still have some more effects on it, be level better, something like that. It doesn't sound, pro enough. It doesn't sound like official to me. Whereas like the rapper, the target audience you most likely want to buy it, they're already ready to go and record on this if they were to hear it.
Yeah, I think it's really easy for us to see the things that we don't like about it since we heard it when it was like super bad, and then we heard it when it was good, but like we kind of mix the two, and so it kind of brings down your opinion of what it actually is. So it could be like an 8 out of 10, and then you're thinking it's like a 6 because you heard it when it was a 2. So I hope that makes sense. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And like even with my videos and stuff, like I don't think I'm making super great videos or anything. I mean, I think they're decent, but compared to a lot of other stuff, I think they're not that good. But I think it's still important just to put out what you have because how are you ever going to know what other people think about it if you don't put it out?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, and one thing I do appreciate your videos too. One thing that I like about YouTubers, like how you put beats out and stuff on your channel or tutorials, is that you guys haven't become too industry based. Like it's no disrespect to like Busyworks beats and all them, but like a lot of theirs is so structured, and they have like all these like $1 billion plugins basically that it's hard to really relate to how to make a trap beat, or the idea that just anybody can make one
Yeah.
if if you can't afford all that. So yes, it goes a long way.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. That's pretty much it for me. So is there any other things that you want to share that might be helpful?
Um, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have heard it before, but just like keep the beats super simple. Um, I think for me that was kind of easy just because I'm lazy. Like I don't want to add a whole lot of stuff because I just want to finish it and move on. Um, but just keep it really simple. A lot of my beats only have like 9 or 10 sounds maximum. Um, so I think keeping it simple is really good. Just putting your stuff out there, and not going over the top, um, to finish stuff and get it to where you think it's perfect because it's never going to be perfect. But just doing what you can to make it as good as you can, and just putting it out, I think it's really important. I think excuse me, networking is really important, and meeting people, um, and just trying to make friends in the industry, stuff like that. I think it's really important. Um, and just getting good at the basics of making beats is probably the most important thing because like if you can put together a decent melody and fairly decent drums and you can kind of at least level it sort of and make it not bad and then separate the sections in the arrangement, to start out, that's all you really need to be able to do. Like the rest of it, adding all these effects and super crazy counter melodies and panning and whatever. Like it's cool, but especially in trap music and trying to sell trap beats, it's not super important. It's just those four main things are what's really important. Is so yeah, yeah. It's pretty much all I really have to say.
Wow, that was a lot. Yeah, it's really deep, man.
No, I'm just rambling, bro.
All right,
Yeah,
well, yeah, again, appreciate you, reaching back to me and doing this in the first place. Because,
yeah,
like I
of course,
said,
bro.
I've reached out to a lot of different producers, and not many people are trying to share the sauce.
Yeah, I mean, you comment on like most of my videos, and I really appreciate you just taking the time out to let me know what you think and all that. So yeah, I'm glad to do it, bro.
All right, cool. All right.
Yeah, well, it was great to meet you, man.
All right,
Hit
yeah,
me up
same
if you
here.
need anything.
Sure thing, man. All right,
All right.
peace.
Yeah, have a good one.